think of these tracks as layers, just like Photoshop, and under each layer, on each layer, you can have different word phrases, and this allows the artist to um, say something that can coexist with the other word ending on top of it. So, for example, I think he goes.
Whipping the pot, Richie to watch. I'm feeling rich when I chew. She put my dick out, said she wanna
And
know
then
what
that's like true. He said choose, and he. But if it was a phrase where you're saying something that has to start on that time, like right here on the downbeat, but saying a different phrase, you would be able to. You know those songs where you kind of hear someone ending the phrase, but then the other phrase is beginning at the same time. That's basically what you're seeing here. A lot of that is what's happening. Like I think this one is a. This section is better.
emojis. I don't got emojis. I don't got a wife inside. Long distance shit, carry hitting shit.
Just so that you don't have to be obligated towards gasping for air and like saying everything all at once. It's kind of different having to say everything all together all at once, one by one, because that's kind of like what you hear on stage when people are like huffing and puffing and like trying to get through it, or like they'll say certain things on their last breath. In the studio, we try to get everything being said with a sense of like ease, so it doesn't feel like it could have been or it could have said better, or what happened to him then, or some shit like that. Because records is something that gets played forever, so you kind of just want to make sure everything's perfect. That's really what it's for. But my blue tracks on the real shit now is all my leads. So all of these are basically, you could do it any color you want, but what we do is we separate leads from ad-libs, from background, content, whether it could be a stack of vocals like a mob, or it could be a harmony section like background singers or a choir. Backgrounds is one thing, leads is one thing, and ad-libs, track, and stuff is another thing. And why? Because we have to affect it differently. So ad-libs, for example, blue tracks for me are the open and clean ones, sonically.
Yeah.
And the yellow ones here are ad-libs because they get treated like this.
Yeah.
They sound like more like blurred out and a little bit more muffled on purpose, just for contrast. Why? Because I guess with them together, they kind of sound like this. So some things are in the front. See, the beat tag is in the front, but those things are like in the back as a result of just affecting it differently. So hurt, whatever. So little things like that, you get the point. Then we also have to have another section for the instruments as well. Then I have to separate instruments from drums, which is percussion, and everything else. Instruments would be, I guess, the things you do melodies with. But in my case, we called a whole, like, let's say somebody gave you an instrumental that has drums in it. So we usually call our music section the instrumental bus anyways. So I have to divide it up by drums and melody instruments. And I usually call it melody bus. So my melody bus is orange, the drum bus is blue. And as you can hear, drum bus gets treated like, it's just everything that doesn't have a melody is drum bus. This is usually the elements that keeps timing. I'll play this part. Here's where the kick comes in. And the melody section in the same section is doing this.
Oh, it's together.
Yeah.
This shit gon' hurt. You make a bitch bad. And that pussy squirt. I'm in the back of her
together, they're like this.
For my man and them niggas who watching. Shoulda mind your business. Yeah, this shit gon' hurt. You make a bitch bad. And that pussy squirt. I'm I'm in the back of her mouth.
Alright, you already got that
He about to
point.
book the Ramada shit.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, right? So the second somebody comes in to work with Ashby, right? And do they hand you the record on via email on a drive, and then you pull it up here on your software?
Yeah, it could be email, it could be a drive, and they might have one or two things. Either a session file like this that already exists from another studio, or they would have the elements that I have to import into the session, which would be the beat stems from the producer, those little things, and then I put that with the vocals, obviously, and then make it work. Maybe I should also use, let me see, more. Sweat. All right, cool. Let me see if I could pull that down from the cloud.
Do people call you a goat?
They say that a lot. But I don't usually toot my own horn.
No, it's okay. It's okay to toot your own horn. It's okay.
Yeah, but I didn't say it.
Y'all did. I did it.
So I will put this here. And then, all right. So now with the elements playing together, most people would assume, okay, well, if they play together, they should work well together. But that's not always necessarily the case. They can sound like a pile of shit together. So I have to carve out frequencies that don't really need to be there from both elements so that they actually do sound good together. So that's really most of the time what was happening when I deal with
approximately how long does it take for somebody to master?
It usually takes about for mixing, it usually takes anywhere from about an hour to like
to master it?
For mixing.
Oh.
From like an hour to like 24 hours. It depends. The labels pay some of my friends to mix Tinashe's album. Each song they paid the engineer from final mix and master 8 hours a song. And I mean 24 hours a song. So this way, like let's say he spends 10 to 16 hours on it, he'll spend another 10 to 16 hours on it the next day, just to, you know, make sure everything he missed on day one is cleared on day two, and then some, because then I didn't want to curse, but the label, they want to go through it as well and then give their notes and change what they want to change. So you need to have time allocated towards all that labor. So in his case, takes him 24 hours a day. Some people do it, like, for me, I do like 4 to 5 hours a day. And usually that gets it sounding like it's a full 24 hour, you know, because technology is better nowadays and, you know, software is better. So the technology helps make us work a little bit more efficient. So
Absolutely.
So with that said, yeah, if that answers your question with that, let me see, okay, I'm gonna open this other one.
Yeah.
Y'all get a treat, y'all get to hear something that's out.
And I think we'll just end it up.
Yeah, exactly.
After this one,
Yeah.
You gotta show us all the sauce, man. I know we gotta earn that.
Nah, it's all good. I'll be showing people, so it don't matter. There's more where
How
it
did
came
the name
from.
come about, Krematorium?
So Krematorium came from my inspiration from this studio called the Terrarium Studios, and it's this really big studio in Minneapolis called the Terrarium. I really like the way it sounded because I got so used to like the way they commercialized, they marketed their facility actually, really, and it was like a studio as big as a gymnasium almost. Yeah, really, actually, it was.
Like a gymnasium, like
they had,
huge.
and then they had like a huge new console and everything. Long story short, I was looking for other names similar to it, like. I was just going off, like I was going many different adjectives, like I was doing auditorium, even though that's not a studio name, but like I was trying to find some. Then I found something that say Krematorium, and I was like, oh, that sounds like the Inferno, but like Krematorium runs with Terrarium, and I was also inspired
See that?
by
Yeah.
making I was also inspired by making the name of the studio heat based, like based around heat, because another studio I was inspired from was Alicia Keys, the Oven Studios in New York City, and she had a really successful jump off with that. So
Okay,
when
cool.
she did the Oven Studios, I was like, oh, okay, I guess I could do like,
Cooking up something in the studio.
yeah, but essentially, the crematorium is where we cremate the competition, or where hits are made at its hottest, considering this heat is hotter than the Oven Studios, technically. So,
Okay, cool.
theoretically, basically, But this is the oldest session I did with Cardi, and she got in the booth. Did her thing. I would usually write down the microphone I use and the pre that I use
So you
at the
have an
time.
idea.
Yeah, in case if I have to re-record anything, I could like match the same. Cause if I use a different mic, she is still gonna sound like Cardi, but she's gonna sound like a different version of Cardi. And I don't need inconsistencies in my session. So long story short, I just write down little notes like that. From QC, they gave me a 2-track. They didn't give me the actual instrumentals. They
How
gave
many
me
tracks are there
a 2-track is called an instrumental in my case. So how many tracks is that? That's 1 track, and that is 2 channels, left and right. So that's this. And that's all that was. And they gave me a reference, which is this. So I'm playing. So that was the reference. So I was like, okay, cool, bright vocals. So I'm just gonna do the same. That was the intention. So this is what I.
Ride the dick like a BMX. No.
So the way she started this was she did the verse first, and then they moved her verse afterwards. So basically, this is what I sent them. After I did my shit, put it with the music. I sent them.
Ride the dick like a BMX. No nigga wanna be my ex. I love what.
Then they put it with everything else, I
And
guess.
they combined everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay.
Word. So, and that's basically that. But as you can see, we did the same shit. She got leads, they blew. And some of the leads she decided to double, like.
Come small when I see him less.
So.
Cause he comes small when I see him less.
Because when I see him less, she'll accent certain parts, like.
Come small when I see him less. I turn offset on.
So, like certain things she'll accent. And then the ad-lib section is just.
BMX. No nigga wanna be.
I'm going to mute this one. Mute this. And then you can see like these are like different texture than a lead, just so at least they have a little bit more depth. Because essentially we're just dealing with the left and the right channel, and if you balance the way something pans from left to right, it would sit in the middle by nature, because that's just science. So the thing is, with engineering, we got into the art of creating an illusion of that center image, because we already understand, like, we can make something sound like it's traveling from here or here based off, its power being louder in the left side than the right side. If the power of that element is equal on both sides, it sounds like it's coming from the middle. So all we do now is we just play around with that image. We play around with being able to manipulate and create biasness in the computer towards our 2 channels, and in that we create a stereo image that we can hear sounds like something down the middle, but a little bit farther, away from our skull. Wow. Versus leads that, are more upfront, etc., etc. You get the point, though.
Talking about is the same lips that be ass kissing.
But you get the point. So all the ad-libs and stuff that's in the final song, we created the sauce here first, obviously, as you can see, and then word, and that was that. So
cool.
And that's basically my job on both the recording and the mixing. Yeah, pretty much.
All right, Stanley, cut. Well, with all your success in music, engineering, and so much more, but before we go, is is there any artist you really want to work with within your engineering career? Like some of you like, man, I gotta work with this one artist.
Yeah. Even though if that artist may not feel the need to work with me, I feel like, yeah, it can happen. Like, if it happened, it would like be major. Drake, yeah, I feel like I could work with Drake and Kanye combined, um, because like people come to me for that sound, and that sound is commercial sound. Drake and Kanye both have been on a journey where this sound has evolved over time. And now to this point, it's like their sound is the standard because their streams compared to other streams basically sets the standard when you go by how many people heard this versus how many people heard something else, you know. If more people heard a Drake record and they're just gonna assume that, okay, well, not because it's Drake, but if more people are familiar with one particular song
Yeah.
that's more known across the masses versus another one that's not as well known, they're gonna assume that, all right, the one that's more popular, the way it sounds should be the way other songs should sound.
Yeah.
Just because, you know, that's how people think. So I feel like I can control the narrative, being that I've always been able to match that sound. So matching that sound, I can then be like, all right, where do y'all want to go next? Like with this, like 2023, like where do y'all want to go, with, you know, with the sound? So that's how I feel like if I had a choice, I would work with people like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before we go, man, just thank you so much. You know what I'm saying, for allowing us to be in your space. Tell us where they can find you on social media.
So you guys can find me on Instagram. I'm on YouTube. If you go to the Instagram, you'll see a link to my main page there and a link to all the other social medias, where obviously it'll take you to SoundCloud, Facebook, etc., etc. Just go to the Ashbymix on Instagram and you'll find everything from there, pretty much.
Well, Ashby, thank you. Thank you so much for allowing us, man. This
Of
is
course.
an honor. I'm just a little curious. One more thing, you know, you're always in the studio. Can we ever see you come out with that one record just to play around with?
Oh, like my own song?
Yeah, just for the one time. No.
That's like a diary thing. Like people talk about diaries, but I have a diary of songs that I played around with as concepts, not even songs, a diary of concepts I played around with, sounding crazy and doing crazy shit, where I actually realized that was me practicing before I got to where I was at, or even working with the clients that I'm working with. And I guess that in itself helped me help give people good directions in the booth, because I was never really a singer really or a rapper. So long story short, if I could get, in layman's terms, the best way to relay to someone how to sing or rap something so that it sounds better on the recording, then I feel like that it's a, what would you say again? Because I was getting to the point and then I thought about it and I was like, wait, but I gave Matt information though.
No, we were just asking, like, you know, would you ever just step in the booth and just play
Oh,
with
okay,
stuff
yeah,
like
yeah,
that?
yeah.
Sound
Well,
crazy
no,
and
not
stuff.
anymore. I wouldn't anymore.
Okay,
But
fine.
I've done it before.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but I would say that to say, yeah, not anymore. I've done it before. And, but it did teach me things before even working with strangers or vocals outside of, you know, my family or household that I first, and I'm talking about this way back when I was experimenting. So, yeah, I'm pretty much good with just, I'm not trying to put anything out myself. I'm pretty much good with dealing with other people, like somebody else. I'll take the artist and treat their work like as if it's mine. And that's basically how, because I'm over it, going in the booth, basically. So, yeah, that's really it.
Well, Ashby, thank you.
Yup.
My guy, Ashby.
All right, cool.
And that's a wrap.